Well, indeed, thank you very much for making the time to be with us, and thank you for staying with us over that break. My name is Peter Wakaba, and of course, you're watching the Farm Kenya show. On this second part of the program today, we want to get back into a discussion now, this time in depth with our guest, Redemptor Mary. She is the Director of Special Programs at Kitui County. She's, of course, here to give us insights into the collaborative aspects of planning, of implementation, and of driving projects. And why that is important, especially in the agriculture space, with a view towards creating resilience and food security, not just for farmers, but also for consumers, and of course, improving that entire value chain and space. So thank you for staying with us. Karibu sana. So we had left off at the point where we had had a discussion around mindset. So now let's talk about implementation. First off, people will ask, who gets to decide what is important to collaborate on, especially knowing that people will conceptualize projects in their own spaces, using their own mechanisms. Who does the prioritization? Who will bring all these people together? As Director of Special Programs, maybe that is your job today. Talk to us, tell us how that works.
Thank you. Yeah, being the Director of Special Programs, I'm responsible for resource mobilization, donor linkages, and strategic partnerships. We are lucky to be part of a coordination mechanism that is funded by USAID through Resilient Learning Activity, RLA, where we have an initiative of joint work planning. We are USAID RLA is funding 9 counties, 6 in the northern, and they call it the PREG coordination mechanism, which involves Isiolo, Garissa, Samburu, Turkana, Marsabit, and Garissa. I've said Garissa, and Turkana. Then we have the SEC, or Southeastern Kenya counties, where we have Kitui, we have Makueni, and we have Taita Taveta. In this coordination mechanism, we do joint work planning, where all the USAID implementing partners are brought together in one forum, and we plan together. We co-create, we start by co-designing, then we'll have the county sectors coming together, sitting with the partners, all the USAID implementing partners, and this has also been escalated to other partners who are non-USAID, and this is happening in the nine counties. We are also developing a joint work planning module, which I'm a part of that team that is developing that, still supported by USAID RLA. So this coordination mechanism is helping a lot to bring partners together and think together. And if we could have policies along the same, it would be a good thing to have to bring out now the coordination and work together for impact.
So then that takes me back to the question that I had asked before, and the question is simply that you're now working collaboratively. Why is there a need to work collaboratively? I mean, what's the difference with working this way from what was happening before, where people were doing their own thing?
Okay, one, there is enhanced accountability and transparency. These are public funds that we use. So when we work together, we are bound to be accountable. We do joint monitoring, both the county government officials, even the national government officials, and also the partners. So we are able to go and find out whether what we agreed should be done is done. There is also synergy. We produce more when we work together. There is also avoidance of duplication, duplication of interventions, and also avoiding double targeting and wastage of resources. And for sustainability, we know projects have timelines. They come and go. So even the partners, what they initiate, we are able to run them even after the projects exit.
So then let's talk about the priorities, because I'm sure as a person who sits within the county government structure, you then have a bit of oversight and ability to know which areas have the most needs. Do you find that that is the same sort of approach that the donors have, or do they rely on you then to sort of try and point them in the right direction where they will have most impact?
Let me say that there are donors who already have embraced joint work planning. Some would come to co-create and even have MOUs with the county.
Yes.
Others will have to call, like we organize for stakeholder engagement, where we sell this idea of working together, for partners coming together, learning from one another, and even trying to see where we have gaps to leverage on the resources that we have. So partly it's the county government initiative, and partly some partners, like I would say USAID implementing partners have already embraced the joint work planning. So collaboration is very easy with them. Others we are still selling the idea to them. Yes.
So in the past, we've seen situations where donors will have significant focus on some areas and not others. So that sometimes you'll hear about talks of focusing on, for example, GBV. You'll find aspects of gender. You'll find aspects of specific initiatives that might be driven either by their culture or their focus, or the information that's in public domain, for example. But that sometimes does not always gel with what the county itself has as the need on the ground and that sort of thing. Does this then help ameliorate that situation whereby you are then able to have broad-based impact from projects, not simply driving some initiatives which might even lock out some people? For example, people keep talking about the boy child.
I would say when people work together, it will make sure that we don't have people coming with ideas that they need to to do. We sit down and agree, because even a partner could be having a project that is geared towards a particular area. But you find there is another partner, or maybe the county government or the national Yes.
So in one of the stories that we did, we talked about the food systems transformation initiatives and the fact that a lot of the times projects will get done, but will get done top down. And when it comes to governance, you are told that people need to participate in decision making about their own space. Do you think this mechanism will enable them be able to do that, rather than just seeing projects come and people start delivering services to them, be able to give them a mechanism to speak back to the donors and be able to talk about their own priorities and what they want?
Yeah, of course, public participation is very important. It's a part of the requirement of our Constitution, 2010. And citizen involvement has been key, because even when we are doing the joint work planning, we have the community represented, and in most cases we go and engage them. Yes. So it is important to engage them so that they can also give their priorities. They can say what is important in the area, because that way we'll serve them better. Yes.
Let's talk about specific areas where this has been useful for food security, because we're mostly talking about food security in this space, and that's what we want to engender. How has this impacted that space? What can you talk about that essentially shows that this actually works?
Peter, I would say this really works because we have several initiatives that have been done collaboratively between partners, national government, and even the county government. I'll give an example of a community self-help group. It was a group that is in a place called Kangachatune. It's called Menda Makoka. This group was started by HIV-infected people, and they came together to look for ways of curbing stigma.
People living with HIV.
Living with HIV, sorry. They came together to look for ways of curbing the stigma that was carried with the situation that they were in. In the process, they agreed that they will start income-generating activities. They started doing vegetables. They also started planting in dengu.
Yes.
And we had the county government coming in to support them with the technical support. Like we have our Department of Agriculture supporting them on the training of how to do it better, the good ways of producing the same. We had the Department of our cooperative department teaching them on ways of the VSLA and the savings.
Yes.
We also have USAID for Better Health, which is a USAID funded project,
yes,
which came to support them with solarization of a borehole or of a shallow well that they had sunk, and even supported them. They are even supporting them wholesalely, even helping them with school fees.
Yes.
So by that way, they are able to produce more. They are able to take care of their nutritional needs, and they're also able to make money from that. Yes.
So on a broad basis, then the impact on communities has been such that you would then say that you're advocating for this to become the way that people do things. How then would you then start to say that this needs to be mainstream, not just in your county, but in other counties? How do we go about that?
I think I would start by saying that it will be important for all the organizations to embrace joint work planning, coming together because we all work for the same citizens.
Yes.
This is an approach that I would encourage all organizations to embrace, because one, we need to have the policies. You need to come up with policies that can mainstream the joint work planning process, both in the national government and in the county governments. So that's what.
Do you find then that with that lacuna, the fact that there are no such policies in place right now, it then becomes difficult, or people will be difficult, or they will not exactly be ready to work with this space? Are there requirements, for example, in bureaucracy that hinder this sort of working together? That, for example, people in government will say that we can't take this approach because the law mandates that we plan in this other different way?
I would say yes and no, because it depends with who maybe the political goodwill.
Yes.
It also depends on many other things, like if people, I would say that lack of knowledge again. Many organizations maybe are not aware that different organizations can work together for a common achievement. So I would imagine if the documentation that we are doing for the joint work planning process, if it is bought or it is read, it will be a sensitization tool to the people, and I know it will be a game changer. Yes.
So if we were to say, for example, we're making you the national coordinator of this thing and saying you roll it out, how would you ensure that then this starts to happen in terms of the buy-in that you're talking about across different places? Because remember, a lot of the organizations that you're working with actually go back to national offices. A lot of them are actually international. So if this is having impact, then it should definitely be getting upscaled and then rolled out and mainstreamed across the different geographies where they're working. How do we get to do that?
I would say that we need to enhance our selling out of the process to get buy-in.
Yes.
I'll look for buy-in, I'll coordinate getting buy-in from different organizations so that they can understand. And that can only come if people understand the process. And if they understand and they have some living examples, they get examples of where it has worked. So that is what I would start with, to sensitize people, to teach them about joint work planning. Yes.
Well, one of the challenges that you may be facing is budgeting, especially because we know different organizations have different ways of running their budgets, different ways of planning for their funds. People like government have specific financial calendars that may not align with the other things that you're doing. How have you been handling such challenges?
Actually, I would say, yes, one of the major challenges that we have is the different fiscal year for both the partners and the government. Most of the partners, like the USAID funded, end in October. I mean, that is where their year is, when the government is in June. So to align this, there is a period. It's a process. We start the process when most of the partners are planning for the new year. So we would try to align, and maybe we will have the partners taking up different stages of the project, so that we can, when the county has money, they will do their part. When the other partner has their money, they will do that. It's a challenge, yes. It would have been better if it's together. The fiscal years are at the same time and start at the same time. Yes.
So one of the things I had noticed about the project during some research was wastage of resources, where you'd have people operating in the same geography, often coming to do the same things, but in subsequent projects, different phases, and they will come and acquire project assets from scratch. So that, I'll give you a specific example. I worked in a nasal area where people were doing research around livestock. So everybody who came in with a different phase or a slightly different proposal based on recommendations of the previous one would come and buy a four-wheel drive and start driving that around. Well, the vehicles from the last projects are probably seated in some yard because there was no mechanism to dispose of those and then put money back in the project, because the project's objectives were to finance the research and not to do with the assets. So you find that over time, these assets are getting either wasted, filtered away, or simply packed in some place because nobody can touch them because there is no real mechanism. How would you handle those sorts of things?
This, I would say that will be handled in joint work planning, and also in the county. I know in the 9 counties, Kitui among them, we have the county steering group. We have like the county steering group, which is the secretariat is the NDMA, and we have documents. We have like the food and security assessment report, that when a partner comes, instead of doing the baseline service, these are some of the reports that they can use. So in these coordinating mechanisms, we share the reports that have been done, we share surveys that have been done, so it will not, a partner who will come will not need to start from scratch. They will begin from somewhere. They will even continue. We have situations whereby even partners are coming in to even continue and enhance projects that have already started. So with the partners being coordinated and coming together, it will be easy for partners to share the reports, and we will avoid the wastage. Yes.
So what sort of specific value chains do you think this can have a lot of impact? What sort of specific value chains, especially in Kitui County, have you been able to roll this out? I know, for example, in the mango value chain, you're able even to tap export markets through this sort of collaborative approach. Talk to us about that sort of impact and how that can be made broader.
Yeah, it can be made broader when we do networking, so that we can make marketing easy.
Yes.
Like we had USAID KCDMS, a project that supported our mango farmers with solar dryers to dry their mangoes. That will make them last for a longer period. It will also curb post-harvest loss, even for things like chili.
Yes.
We have a farmer in Kuzo who is exporting chilies, and they do it, they dry it. So when we have mango value chains, there is also the ndengu value chains, where like there is a partner who supported some group in Waita with the destoning. So instead of just selling the dengu, they will destone and maybe package value addition. So those are some of the things. Even the veggies, like right now we have rains. In a few weeks we'll be having our greens.
Yes.
But if we have no way of saving them, after 2 months we'll not even have anything green in the area. Yes.
So then let's talk about geographical collaborations and across value chains from that space, because with the different counties you have different synergies and possible collaborations. Like recently there were reports that in Nyandera County, cabbage going to waste. There's this huge glut being fed to cows, a repeat occurrence. In counties like Isiolo, Marsabit, that sort of thing, and even further afield, still the usual perennial shortage of food. It may not be famine, but we know that those cabbages and other things would find good value there. So how come nobody's talking about the collaborations that will engender the movement of this food to the places where it is required efficiently and affordably and in ways that will put money into these farmers' pockets, including, of course, creating the market knowledge and information that will empower them?
Peter, I would say that this is a lack of networking.
Yes.
I would say that this can be curbed by doing proper networking, maybe across counties, so that the person who is planting cabbages has an idea of where to sell the cabbages. The person who has dengue has an idea of where to take the dengues when they produce them. So networking and knowledge sharing is one thing that we lack, and that is what we need to enhance so that we can avoid these recurrent losses. Yes.
So at some point, people will say that these are opportunities for other market players, specifically in roles like brokerage and other kinds of professionals in this space to either do the logistics, the value addition, move this from place to place, or even supply the necessary information. Do you think approaches such as what you're talking about will enable this to happen and happen organically?
I would say yes. And I would say that right now, we have the aggregation centers which are created in all counties. And I would say that with the capacity building and sensitization of the farmers, they will be assisted more to, if they are encouraged to bring their produce to the aggregation centers. I know this is done through cooperatives, and like in Kitui County, our Ministry of Trade and Cooperatives is doing a lot, and I know we'll be able to curb that. Yes.
So then, as we start to wind up, there are those who then say that these sorts of value chains can then be the thing that will be driven by younger generations of people, because then it's easier for them to understand this, for them to buy into this knowledge and that sort of thing. Do you think your approach is bringing younger people into the agriculture space?
Yes. Actually, I would say, like in Kitui County, we had the first ever youth engagement forum. And in this forum, we had our youth being sensitized to get a part in agriculture. We are also in the joint work planning, we engage the youth. We have groups that are youth-led organizations that are taking part of the joint work planning process. So this will bring them together, because with the new technologies, and for us to embrace the new technology, we have to have the young minds. So I think there will be the right people to take part in this and change.
You saw the story around the potatoes, and for me the challenge that those farmers are facing, then the biggest challenge is that they're still working with their hands. You can see manual tilling, manual hoeing, manual packing of the potatoes, and then the same story mentioned Egypt and South Africa. But we are still seeing peasant farming. In those jurisdictions, mostly the potatoes that we talk about are those that are modern farmed, using machinery, using technology, to the point where even the fries, the chips that they cut, the ones that come to our KFCs and others, although they are buying locally, are specifically done using mechanization and computerization. How do we go from the initiative you're talking about to that?
So I would think when we plan together, we will encourage mechanization of the production. Like we have in the county government of Kitui, we have subsidized farming, where the farmers are given tractors, the county tractors, to subsidize their farming. So when partners come together and maybe donate more, or even bring leverage on the technical expertise, we'll be able to use mechanization to bring for large-scale production. And I think I would encourage maybe farmers to move from the PSAD farming, and maybe even if it is dengue, do it at large scale. And that way they will be able to produce enough for their food and enough maybe for sale.
They will ask about capital.
That is where now the partners come in. That is where now they need the subsidies. That is where we need to economically empower them through whatever means that are available for both partners, the national government, and even the county.
So in 30 seconds, anything that you feel we might not have touched on the topic before we close?
Maybe I'll just say that it is important for people to come together, to work together.
Yes.
The Global Sustainable Development Goals, SDG number 17, encourages partnerships for the goals.
Yes.
So we need to embrace that. We say that when I'll quote an African proverb,
yes,
that if you want to go far, go together. If you want to go fast, go alone. Yeah, so I would encourage that we collaborate, we work together, we bring the different expertise, we bring the different maybe funding and different resources. We pull them together so that we can achieve.
Okay.
Yeah.
Indeed, thank you very much, Redemptor, for taking the time to talk to us. Unfortunately, we've run out of time, but very insightful conversation. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us. And of course, for you, the viewer, that is why we bring this conversation to a close. Having been a conversation around collaboration and the impact that can have on resilience, productivity, and of course, impact in the agriculture space. My name is Peter Wakaba. It has been a blast having you. Of course, this show comes back here tomorrow, same time. Do make a date. Up next is Business Today with Noah Kipkemboy. Do make a date. Stay with us. My name is Peter Wakaba. Have yourself a blast of an afternoon and kwaheri ya kuonana.